Because in this reality, which is all based off a lie, remember, the God of this world is not the oversoul. The oversoul is the God of all worlds. But this world was hijacked. This world, the God of this world, is an arch deceiver. The architecture of his personality is seen in the predator versus prey ecosphere that we live in. Violence is the signature of the God of this world. It's steeped in materialism. But we have a benefactor that has allowed for the situation of using the very rules of the arch deceiver against him. From the divine immortal soul who is trapped in this construct is now able to use the tool of fiction, which is a lie, to create a truth. It is just the opposite of what we're trained to believe, that we are physical beings and that imagination and daydreaming and prophecy and all these things are fictions. It's just the opposite. It's the very fictions that we create because we are co-creators. When we believe in the very fictions that we write for ourselves, they become our reality. And one reason for this is because the informed field of the individual writes its own existence through a relationship with the neutral field of the simulacrum, which is an extension of the oversoul. It's not penetrable by this arch deceiver, by whatever it is, AIX, the Demiurge, Yaldabaoth, God, Satan, whatever you want to call it. It's a force that promotes the more visceral, the more base traits and desires, but it cannot affect the highly individualized soul who refuses to succumb to the material interpretations of reality and instead uses empathy, intuition, and imagination to build their own world. This highly individualized person doesn't have to be an adept. It doesn't have to be someone who is steeped in Eastern mysticism and somebody who is well read, somebody who's read 1,300 nonfiction reference books. This isn't the type of individual the simulacrum responds to. The neutral field of the simulacrum responds to any informed field that enters a relationship with it. And what I mean is the highly individualized soul, you and I, trapped and immersed in this continuum. If we admit that we can't do something by our own power, then that means we can accomplish things through something that is lending that power to us. That's a relationship. And the individual who thinks that they do all things unto themselves is an island, and they have completely sequestered themselves away from all spiritual help because they think that they can do it. That's not a relationship. Anybody who would neutralize themselves with desperation and completely rely on God to do for them will never receive what God can do for them because they didn't enter the relationship. A relationship means that both parties have a responsibility. When you enter into that dynamic, the highly individualized soul can freely admit that, one, I have no idea how this is going to come to pass. At the same time admitting that it doesn't even matter. Because if the end of anything that you set in motion is secure, then every single step leading up to that is secure as well. A relationship requires one thing that you're not hearing about from all these formulas and all these theories about law of attraction, all that. This relationship requires trust. This item, this integral part of a relationship between the individual soul and the oversoul, this trust factor, This has been hijacked by religionists and called faith. But the connotation that's attached to faith is that you can believe that God will do it all and you don't have to do anything. That right there is the poison of religiosity. That's the interpretation from the Judeo-Christian idea of faith. Your faith has made thee whole. Remember, trust is what's absolutely required in any healthy relationship. Whatever we experience in the micro right here among us in our interrelationships and interpersonal relationships with other people, listen, listen, I trust Matt. If I didn't trust Matt, he couldn't be doing what he's doing right now because he has access to my financials. He has access to a lot of things that are important to me in what we do. I've had to share a lot of things that I would never share with anybody else. So he has a lot of power in that, but I have trust in Matt. Therefore, we have this relationship. I would hope it's a friendship, but 100% it's a business relationship. So this is the exact same thing that is required of the construct itself. The individual souls that move through life, that think that they can do things unto themselves, will continue to think that they can fight these fights themselves. And they will die lonely, and they will turn around and be recycled back into the construct to try again. Because this entire experience is all about the maturing of immortal beings who are passing through a construct, and you've got many chances. The oversoul is not going to throw you in a flaming pit for eternity because you made some mistakes. It's going to recycle you back. And you're the prodigal son. You just might have to take more trips than the average soul, but you're still going to come back after you realize basically that the oversoul is correct in all its assessments and that only you rebelled because you wanted more, thought you could do more. What's absolutely necessary